विग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौली स्फुरत् तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमां मीनवक्षोरुहाम् पाणिभ्यामलिपूर्णरत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम् सततज्वर विषमज्वर ग्रह नक्षत्र दोषाञ्चान्या हर हर काली सर सर गौरी गम गम विद्ये आले माले काले बन्धे भज भज विद्ये मख मख विद्ये नाशय नाशय पापम् हर हर दुःस्वप्नम् विध्वंसय विध्वंसय
Namaste. Harihi Om to all of you once again on the last session for the third day. We've had very enriching sessions up till now, and from the feedback that we've received, it's very encouraging to know that many of you are enjoying what we are sharing with you. And we are extremely grateful to all our presenters for literally putting forth and sharing with us so generously the gems of the insights of their journey of yoga. So I thought what we can do from now is maybe just start with a small Om, and then I'll go on to move the presenter. So I invite all of you to join your hands in the gesture of Namaste, and we'll just chant an Om to create a certain positive energy that we have been collectively building these few days. So take a deep breath and we'll do the Om. In the afternoon, we had a session by Dr. Sampadananda Mishra on Chando Yoga, a unique sadhana for health and well-being. As a follow-up almost to that session, we have with us Shantala Sriramaiah ji, and it's a great honor to present her because she is my guru for Veda chanting in the last few days. So, Shantala ji, a hearty welcome to this session in the festival, Global Festival of Yoga. And I'd like to introduce her to you. So Shantala ji teaches Veda recitation to an international community in Brussels and globally through her online platform and classes. An engineer from Bangalore by qualification, she enjoyed a 20-year career in corporate HR specializing in learning and development. Her teaching platform draws from her previous experience, bringing structure, detail, and a clear methodology to all the classes and courses. And this is something that I can vouch for, being a participant myself in some of her classes. You would be left with no place for ambiguity about how to proceed and how to develop this learning for yourself as well. So, Shantala ji is a student of Sri M.S. Srinivasan of the Chalakere brothers, who have been guiding her Veda recitation practices. She is also a student of Sakshi Institute in Bangalore, studying with Dr. R.L. Kashyap the deeper meanings of the Veda. She lives in Brussels, Belgium, with her husband and two small children. And Shantala ji also asked me to tell you this, that she lives in eternal gratitude of the wisdom that she has received from her gurus, and that her mission in life is not just to share her understanding and her practice of the Vedas, but also to encourage people to become practitioners, serious practitioners themselves, and take responsibility for their own wellness by through Veda chanting. So with these few words, Shantala ji, it's a great honor again to have you on this festival. We look forward to hearing what you have to share with us. Thank you.
Anuradha ji, what a blessing to be introduced by you, who also I consider to be one of my teachers. So thank you for that really beautiful welcome and warm welcome. I would like to start with the traditional invocation mantras from our Veda Vidyalaya. So if there are many of my students also who might be watching, those who know this mantra, please join me, and others may just close your eyes and listen. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Ganana Antva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvannutebhih Siddhasadanam Mahaganapataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajinivati Dhinama Vitryavatu Ano Divo Brihataf Parvatada Saraswati Ajatagantu Yajnam Havan Devi Jujushana Ghritachi Shagman No Vachamushati Shrunotu Vagdevyai Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavirjankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today I will share with you the aspect of well-being as we see in the Vedas. So exactly what is the idea of well-being in the Vedas, and the very beautiful, comprehensive, deeply complete understanding of wellness that we see in the Vedas. Along the way, I will share, you will see many visuals from our classes, from our little community in Brussels and in Belgium, where we get together and we learn Vedic mantras and suktams. And I will see if I can share, if there is time, I will share a video also of our international community, which represents over 20 nationalities, learning Veda mantras. And so for me, it's a very beautiful life, I can say, where I have this honor of sharing with such a diverse group of people this very ancient oral practice of reciting, not only reciting, but deeply understanding the meaning of the Veda mantras and seeing its relevance in our modern lives. So I'll straight away share, get started with a little presentation, and along the way I'll also demonstrate a few mantras, and towards the end I will also share a very personal experience, my own experience of healing from a very bad situation. And I will also share the mantra that I used personally during this healing process. And I pray and hope that it can help many others in their own healing journeys. So let's get into this. Just as a background, when we think of the Vedas, we usually picture rituals, and we may even think about, we may even hear some chanting. When you think of the Vedas, you picture chanting, or you picture mainly rituals. We don't see the Vedas as being relevant to our daily lives. Also, when we have access to the popular translations, they don't really look into the symbolism in the Vedas. And so these direct translations only add to the confusion about the content in the Vedas. We don't really know exactly what is in the Vedas. We just know that it's very sacred, and it contains knowledge, and that we chant it. But beyond that, we don't know exactly what is the content of the Vedas. So let's look at how knowing some of this background helps us, the spiritual aspirant, or practitioners of yoga. How do we benefit not only from the knowledge of the Vedas, but also from Vedic chanting itself as an independent practice? So if you look at what are the Vedas, Vedas are mainly multiple, it's a records, it's a collection of multiple experiences of over 400 rishis. Or, if the word rishi is new to you, it literally means seers. You can also think of them as inspired poets of a very high caliber. So they're basically a collection of experiences of these wise people. And the content of the Vedas, they touch upon the life of humans and gods. You can even think of gods as natural forces or as cosmic forces. And cosmic does not mean some kind of Star Trekky or Star Warsy sitting in the space or in the sky type of personality, but cosmic literally means that they're present everywhere. So all around us, if we open our eyes, we can look at this intelligence and we can recognize the forces at work. And these forces are also present within us. So we can start to recognize that different things in the Vedas which touch upon the life of this collaboration between humans and these forces. And in the vision and journey of these inspired poets, rishis, they saw the universe in a very intelligent way. They could see the intelligence of the universe, that this universe was nothing but a network of natural laws, which was basically, a manifestation of this one higher truth. And because they could see this truth, they were able to live intelligently, navigating the ups and downs of life in an intelligent way. So this is the beautiful, inspired vision of the rishis. And all the mantras or the verses in the Vedas, they speak of a systematic spiritual ascent of humans. This for me is very interesting because it's not just a guide for doing rituals. It's not just some type of esoteric text that is useful in a religious context, but in the journey of personal development and well-being. It's a beautiful, it's a full expose of the human spirit, human ascent, so our personal development. So just to give an overview, this little diagram is not entirely accurate with its sizing, but it depends on how we count the number of mantras and what's common between them, etc. But mainly we have 4 books. We have the Rig Veda, we have the Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. And Rig Veda is really the core collection, and you'll see that all the other Vedas have some overlap within Rig Veda. And the names that you see here, Paila, Vaishampayana, etc., they were the sages that passed on through a rigorous oral tradition to their disciples each of these books. And then those in turn were passed on to their disciples. And this strong oral tradition has been maintained through strict rules of recitation over millennia. And this is just the most fascinating subject of the Vedas. The importance of the Vedas is that the knowledge in the Vedas, it has the power to harmonize and uplift our individual relationship, with ourselves, with our community, and also with nature. And another important aspect is that the knowledge in the Vedas was not restricted to any one class of society or any one sect of society. But the knowledge in this, the Vedas themselves declare that they should be accessible to all persons. And this knowledge, when we speak of this knowledge, it covers a vast, it basically covers the end-to-end experience, human experience through the lifespan of humans. So whether it's education or ecology or environmental concerns, living in harmony, with oneself, with one's community. So there's governance as well, because there's a community element. And there's, of course, maintenance of health, different methods of yoga. These are all the knowledge areas that the Vedas cover. And the beauty of this knowledge is that the Vedas don't compartmentalize this knowledge. So while the Vedas give us tools to develop a healthy relationship, for example, with money, so in the economic knowledge, this developing a healthy relationship with money never harms the environment, for instance, or it not just not harms, but they're aligned and they're in harmony with also each other. So living in harmony with oneself would naturally mean living in harmony with nature and living in harmony with one's community and having a healthy relationship with various aspects of life. This is the beauty of the knowledge in the Vedas. Well, the beauty only keeps increasing here and becomes more and more accessible, you'll see, because the Vedas also don't build any artificial barrier between like a worldly life, what we consider a worldly life and what we consider a spiritual life. It's basically one life. You live in the world and you live a spiritual life. And so you don't have to become a monk to explore spirituality from the Vedic perspective. So really there are no excuses for starting to learn and exploring what is in the Vedas. You don't have to wait for retirement. Therefore, the Vedas are really relevant even today. And if we really get into studying it in detail, you will see that there are so many beautiful, inspiring suggestions in the Vedas to meet challenges of our modern everyday lives. Now, if we look at the form of Vedas, how are they composed? I mean, what is the composition of Vedas? They're basically metrical or rhythmic verses, or what we call mantras. There are about 25,000 in the earliest layer of mantras alone. So earliest layer, we call that earliest layer the Samhitas. The Samhitas alone are about 25,000 mantras, and they are in a language we call a Vedic Sanskrit, which is slightly different from classical Sanskrit. It's an older form of Sanskrit. And these mantras that are mainly the composition of Vedas, this mantra, you can think of it as a poetic revelation which is received by this rishi. We talked about rishi as being an inspired poet of a really high caliber. So this mantra is this revelation that a rishi receives during deep states of meditation. And this is no ordinary mental construction or speculation, that you might see in ordinary, even beautiful poetry, but it's actually an instrument of thought. And each mantra serves a specific psychological function, So for example, there are mantras to actually work on increasing your willpower. There are mantras that work on improving or developing conviction in your own practices, to develop the power of truth, to develop clarity, and so on. So there's each mantra serves a very practical function in our development and in our well-being, just hand in hand. And these rishis, they were not just some chosen people that received like a book from the sky and were told, here is the knowledge. But actually the rishis did intense yogic practices, and they were the greatest yogis. So through this tapas, they were able to access a different realm. They were able to access the truth without any distortions. And because they're inspired poets, they had brilliant memories, they were able to transcribe this truth that they saw into this beautiful poetic rhythmic verses that we call mantras, so mankind could benefit from it. And in order to receive these mantras or to see these mantras, they had to be in very high spiritual states. I think we often refer to this state as samadhi, which is not just some type of transcendental experience, but samadhi is really a fully assimilated knowledge of the truth. So their tapas mainly involved being free from these type of feelings, of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, desire, anger, greed, delusion, and arrogance and jealousy. So they worked really hard. So it wasn't just that they just received it, because they were the chosen ones. So there's really a lot of tapas that went into these mantras being revealed to them, which is why they don't even take credit for its composition of the mantras, because the truth does not belong to any one person, not even the rishis. This is what was their, stance. And so it belonged to everybody. They were just the seers of the mantras. Now, if you look at the structure of the mantra in the Vedas, we'll see mainly three things. We see a rhythmic sound movement. If you watched the previous session, Sri Sampadananda Mishra, he spoke very beautifully about this rhythmic sound movement, basically what we call chandas. If the Vedas were a person, a Veda Purusha, this rhythmic sound movement or chandas would be the feet of the Veda Purusha, which gives the mantras movement and gives the mantras, the practice of the mantras. It gives the joy of, it gives the joyous element of the mantras. And second, there is also an interwoven, there is a verbal form, there is a thought substance. And this is the psychological aspect which the mantras help us with. So like I mentioned before, there is the ability to increase willpower or ability to strengthen subtle body, strengthen our subtle bodies, to improve several aspects, develop real clarity, get closer and closer to the truth. Imagine a life where every decision you make was without any doubts. You had full clarity, to the point where my teachers always tell me that as things are getting more and more clear, the more clarity you have, you find that there's very few options you have in life. And this is not in any way negative or so, but it seems like when you are so, when you have a clear vision of your path, the options don't even present themselves because the path is so clear. So this is definitely something I want in my own life, And of course, every mantra has embedded in it this vision of a higher truth. So the form of the mantra, it's not ordinary. So there's all these elements interwoven, and we benefit greatly from all these three aspects and more. The Vedas are mainly practiced through chanting. So we cannot separate the two. So it's like if you had to learn cooking, you don't simply read books of recipes. You actually need to do some cooking. You don't learn swimming by only reading a book about swimming. You actually need to get into the water and swim. Similarly, with Vedas, you can't simply just read the Vedas. You need to practice the recitation of Vedas to fully understand and have an assimilated understanding of the Vedas. Therefore, in the way the chanting of the Vedas are considered, are compared with, the flying of the soaring of a bird. Under one wing is the effect of the sound, and under the other wing is the effect of the meaning. And we need both to have an assimilated understanding of the mantras of the Vedas. And the chanting is very strictly governed by these rules. I mean, this is one framework of rules. This is from the Taittiriya Upanishad, the very first chapter, or Prathama Shiksha Valli, prescribes these rules: Varna, Swara, Matra, Balam, Sama, and Santanaha. So we won't get into all of these rules today, but Varna is mainly the pronunciation of the Samskrita, the Sanskrit syllables, the unique pronunciation of each sound in Sanskrit, mastering that. That is one of the key rules in Veda chanting. And of course, Swara is unlike music, which uses 7 notes. Veda mantras use only 3 notes, a middle note, a high note, and a low note, and some variations of this high note and low note. But in that range, so which has a very meditative effect, we use only these 3 notes. So there's a very different effect with Veda chanting as compared to music. And so on. There are other rules which, we need a longer session, and we need we need a class with proper initiation to go over all of the rules. But we will practice some of it today with learning a mantra ourselves. So with effective chanting, our Pratishakya books, these are a Vedanga basically that give us details on how to chant the Vedas. These are the texts that have held precious the chanting tradition and gives the rigor and strength to the chanting. So one of the first things is that we chant with a clear voice, or suvyakta swara. We give the chanting undivided attention, dhairya. It's a full concentrated practice. In order to follow all these rules, you cannot but give it your full attention, because the smallest wavering of the mind and you will lose either the swara, or you will lose the varna, or you will lose the balam. One of them is bound to go. And of course, the complete absorption, in the practice. Now, we discussed this before, that these are all the different areas of knowledge that the Vedas cover. And this is also all the aspects of well-being that the Vedas cover. So it's not just a physical well-being in terms of your health, in terms of physical health, but health in every aspect, in terms of establishment of deep peace, inner peace, and also peace with the community, with the larger community, with our own families, etc. Many, many methods of yoga, including meditation, even bhakti, you will find the seeds of these practices already in the very initial mantras of the Rig Veda. So if we look specifically about wellness and what are some mantras, etc., that speak specifically about wellness, we look at some interesting examples now. So for the rishis, health was not a mere condition of being free of disease. That was, just a very preliminary thing. But health, it was a state of well-being, of physical, emotional, and mental. So it was a full, complete view of well-being. And there are a very large number of verses or mantras that deal with healing and promoting healthy longevity. So it was not just living a long life, but it was living this long life in a rich way, in a rich, deeply spiritual way. So some of the popular examples are, there is Ayur Mantraha, Laghunyasaha, Surya Namaskara Mantraha, Arogya Mantraha. These are from various books, from Rig Veda to the Taittiriya Brahmana to the Taittiriya Aranyaka, etc. Every book in the Veda has mantras for health, for longevity, for well-being, for peace, and so on. So here's the first example. This is called, it's popularly known as the Surya Namaskara Mantraha. And this is from the Rig Veda. You will see there on top, Rig Veda 1.50.11 to 13. This means that you will be able to find this mantra in the first mandala of the Rig Veda, 50th Suktam, and 11th to 13th mantra. So that's a reference for those who might want to go and look up its translation, etc. But I will recite this mantra for you now. You can listen. Om Udyanadhyamitramaha Arohannuttaran divam Hridrogam mama surya Harimanancanashaya Shukeshu me harimanam Ropanakasu dadmasi Atho haridraveshu me Harimananni dadmasi Udagadayamadityah Vishvena sahasa saha Dvishantam mama randhayan Mo aham dvishato radham. What are we saying in this mantra when we recite it? We are praying to the sun, and we are saying, O Surya, or O sun, please remove this disease of my heart and remove this yellow pallor of my body. So this yellow pallor, if we think about I mean, certainly in India, but when I had my babies in Belgium, I found out that it's the same practice here as well. You know, babies sometimes get a baby jaundice, you know, a yellow pallor in the body, and the treatment for it seems to be universal, which is the sun, you know. So the sun takes away this yellow pallor of my body and gives it to, you know, things in nature where it belongs. So like to birds and to trees and to herbs and flowers where yellow is actually, you know, meant to be. And here is Aditya, another name for the sun, arisen with all might. And on my behalf, he destroys my foe. My foe is my enemy. And I watched an earlier session, I think from yesterday, of Sri Ravi Ravindran. And if you can, please do catch that episode, because I could not speak more eloquently about this foe, you know, destroying my foe. Because in the Vedic texts, these enemies or foes are not some type of external forces, but you know, as he put it beautifully, he just speaks about us one and us two. So it's me, you know, and also me. So this foe is also something inside me that we need to overcome. And so we ask the Surya to help us do that. And so Surya works as the healer in this mantra. We also have waters as healers. So this is a mantra also from the Rig Veda. And you'll see the reference there if you need to look it up on your own out of curiosity. It's a very good habit to go and find the mantras in their source and read its context, etc. I will recite for you. Om Apo Hishtamayo Bhu Apo Hishtamayo Bhuvastana Urje Dadhatana Maheranaya Chakshase Yo Vashrivatamo Rasastasya Bhajayate Hanaha Ushatiriva Mataraha Tasma Arangamamavo Yasya Kshayaya Jinvatha Apo Janayatha Chanaha Shanno Devirabhishtaya Apo Bhavantu Pitaye Shayorabhishravantu Naha Ishanavaryāṇaṁ Kshayantiścharṣaṇīnaṁ Apo Yācāmi Bheshajam Sumitrāna Apa Oshadhayas Santu Durmitrāstasmai Bhūyā Suryo Osman Dveshti Yancha Vayan Dvishmaha. The word apaha, apo, you heard that, apaha, is referring to waters. So, O waters, you are the source of all happiness, and we seek healing powers from you. Please bestow upon the strength to be able to have the same vision that the rishis had of the Supreme. So, such a beautiful prayer that goes to the very source of well-being. Rudra, many of you might know the very famous mantra Rudra Prashnaha. It's a very popular mantra for yogis, and this is an extract from that, which is also from the Rig Veda. I will recite this also for you. Om Imagum Rudraya Tavaseka Pardine Kshayadviraya Prabharamahe Matim Yathanashamadvipade Chatushpade Vishwam Pushtangrame Asminnanaturam. So in this little extract from Rudra Prashnaha, which happens to also be in the Rig Veda, we are asking the mighty Rudra, you might also refer to Rudra as Shiva, to destroy the foes. And please, again, I remind you about foes not being external. We offer the songs of praise. May all beings be happy. May all members of this community be well nourished and free from disease. And this goes on. I mean, there are endless examples from the Vedas on well-being, like a deeply inspiring well-being that goes to the very source of well-being. So Indra is again a very famous, important Vedic deity or Vedic god. And we can think of Indra as the lord of the divine mind, because Indra is the one who prepares us, prepares our bodies. And I say bodies in the plural sense because it's not just our physical body, but also our subtle bodies. Because in an ordinary condition, if a pot is not baked, it's not strong enough to be used as a container, to hold something. Therefore, in order to hold knowledge in our bodies, we need to, bake the pot. We need to prepare this body. And Indra is the one who helps us create this strong body so we can be strong enough to receive knowledge. And so there are many mantras that speak about Indra to come to our vicinity so he can hear our songs of praise and he can bless us with strong bodies, both external and internal. Laghunyasaha is a mantra that is a prayer to all natural forces, the sun, the fire, waters, wind, the moon, lightning, just really every natural force, to bless various parts, organs of our body, our mind, and link this health to our heart, to that which is eternal in us, and to that which is eternal everywhere. I'd like to share with you a little video of our community in Brussels reciting this mantra. Hopefully the video works and it'll take a couple of So that was a little extract of our student community in Belgium. The Atharva Veda also has many references to holistic health, and it talks about paying attention to all aspects: food, physical exercise, prayers as well. I mean, prayer is at the very crux of all of these mantras. And a prayer, my teachers always refer to prayers as one of the most beautiful expressions of your free will. Even when everything is not going your way, you still have the choice, the free will to exercise, to use in prayer. And this is at the crux of all Veda mantras, that we connect to something higher, we connect to a higher truth by reciting these mantras, and we develop a prayerful attitude to life. And of course, there are good habits, good speech, thoughts, generosity, etc. So it's very complete. The idea of well-being is very complete. And also in the Krishna Yajurveda, in this particular mantra and many others actually, they speak about, declares that the process of healing has many aspects. There is the power of will. Therefore, mantras to Agni are very important they play a very important role in one's healing, because you need to have a willpower to remain healthy as well after treatment. And of course, the ability to open subtle doors, the power of the recitation itself, the importance of powerful thoughts, and one of the most important, beautiful things is Shraddha. Shraddha is the power of truth. It's actually made up of two words, Shrat and Dha. And Dha means to hold, to bear. And Shrat is related to the truth, Sat. So this is the ability to hold the truth, the power of truth. And Shraddha is this conviction you have in your own practice that what you're practicing is leading to well-being. It's leading to the truth. And this Shraddha is a basic disposition. It's a basic qualification in yoga. So I'd like to share with you a short experience, a very personal experience, that it's about 3 years ago, I suffered from a hemorrhagic brain stroke. So I suffered a brain hemorrhage. So it's a little bleeding in the brain. And this happened on the morning of my 44th birthday, surprisingly. And I was left with a bit of a problem. The problem was that I didn't die. So I was still alive after this, hemorrhage. And why is this a problem? Because, I have young children and I needed to continue to be a good contributor to my family and to my community. And so it was, whilst recovering, in the hospital, I made this sankalpa. This sankalpa is basically making a determination that I would be one of the best stroke survivors ever. And this was very important for me because I was then able to invite every type of healing practice into my life. So I did all the practical things like physical therapy, and I did all the MRIs and all the scientific, so to speak, healing checks that need to be done. But beyond that, this is not something any of the neurosurgeons suggest, is to also look to yoga therapy and look to the Vedas and look to mantras for my healing. And this is when I learned a specific mantra for healing that I used to recite mentally first. And as I got stronger, I practiced simple things like Nadi Shodhana to really cleanse my body of all those chemicals from the treatments that I had for several weeks in the hospital. And my healing journey was a minimum of 1 year. I think I took 2 years. I mean, I still consider myself on this healing journey, so I really work still quite a lot. And mantras play a very important role. And one of the mantras, very beautiful, very short mantra, was the Ayur mantra. And Ayur mantra literally means a mantra for, Ayuhu, or a long lifespan. But it's also a lifespan that is filled with all the right energies and well-being. So this is the mantra here, and I will teach you. It will just take a few minutes. It's a short mantra. And for those who are interested, you can always write to me. I will share my details, my website details. You can write to me and I will send you the text along with a little recording of this mantra. So if you want to practice, you can continue to do that. You can just listen to me now and see if you can follow along. What you see in little brackets there after pranam, we pronounce it as pranan, not pranam. This is basic Sanskrit rules, phonetic rules in the Vedas. Om Ayurdhehi, Ayurdhehi, Pranandhehi, Pranandhehi, Apanandhehi, Apanandhehi, Vyanandhehi, Vyanandhehi, Chakshurdhehi, Chakshurdhehi, Shrotrandhehi, Shrotrandhehi, Manodhehi, Manodhehi, Vachandhehi, Vachandhehi, Atmanandhehi, Atmanandhehi, Pratishthandhehi, Pratishthandhehi, Mandhehi, Mandhehi, Mayidhehi, Mayidhehi. I'll repeat in full sentences each line, so you can try to follow with me if you can. Om Ayurdhehi Pranandhehi, Apanandhehi Vyanandhehi, Chakshurdhehi Shrotrandhehi, Manodhehi Vachandhehi, Atmanandhehi Pratishthandhehi, Mandhehi Mayidhehi. So this mantra is basically saying, is humbly asking for all of my pranavayus to be nourished, my pranavayu, my apanavayu, my vyanavayu. So these are all the different subtle energies working in the body, but also for my eyes to be nourished, chakshurdhehi, and also for my hearing to be inspired and blessed and nourished, shrotramdhehi. May my mind also be nourished, manodhehi, and may my speech also be nourished, vachandhehi. May my atma, my innermost being, atma, also be nourished. And may all of these well-being aspects be well established, pratishthandhehi. And may I be blessed with all of this, and may everyone also be blessed with all of this. So with that, I'd just like to share that if you would like to get in touch with me for a little recording of that mantra, you can go to my website on Veda Studies, and you can you'll find my email address there, but you can also take a free course on Veda Chanting Essentials. Just a quick thanks to all of my wonderful teachers. It's a whole team at work here. And these are some references if you want to read a bit more on the symbolism in the Vedas, etc. These are some good, good references for you. With that, I will hand over again to Anuji. If I may please end with a Shanti mantra for the well-being of everyone, and then I hand over to you. I will be grateful for that. Om Shanno Mitra Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyakshanta Tvamasi त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः
Shantala ji, I think those who've attended this session have received a gift in many ways today, and especially in times like these when there's so much of anxiety and, in a sense, a subconscious dependence on the medical systems to help us ensure our health and well-being. I think this what you have shared with us today is an empowerment of each one of us to take on the practice of the chanting of these mantras and boost our own immunity, boost our well-being through this practice. So extremely grateful for your session, which was very well laid out for a beginner to an advanced practitioner. I think everybody could take home something from your session. So we have a few, I mean, there's a whole lot of, what do you say, compliments coming down in the chat section for you, of people who really feel benefited from your sharing. So there were just a few questions for you here. So one by Sunil Kumarji, who says that which translation of the Vedas would you recommend for the spiritual aspirant to understand it deeply?
I highly recommend all publications from Sakshi. So Dr. R.L. Kashyap is your go-to person for spiritual translations. And any works, so this is in the lineage of Sri Aurobindo. So if you start by reading first The Secret of the Veda by Sri Aurobindo and his disciples, so Sri M.P. Pandit, for example. There are lots of little pocket books, so to speak, that give you a nice insight into what does it mean to see the symbolism in the Vedas. And then if you need a full end-to-end collection, the Sakshi publications by Dr. R.L. Kashyap, he has translated all the 26,000 mantras. So you can spend a lifetime there. But I really suggest starting with reading The Secret of the Veda by Sri Aurobindo, supremely inspiring. Anuji, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. So we have another question by Anagha Athavaleji, who says, what about the knowledge of technology? So I guess he's trying to understand the relationship between, this inner knowledge that we have and the knowledge of technology. What would you have to say? Maybe as an engineer, you would have some insights about this relationship.
It's funny that this question comes to me because for some reason, I constantly meet other Veda scholars who are also engineers. We are, naturally drawn to Vedas because the Vedas are such it's such a sophisticated technology. If you look at it from a mathematical perspective, the chandas, the prosody, it's just brilliant, just genius, and you can see architecture, you can see all types of technology in the Vedas. There is nothing you will find contradictory. But in terms of, real hard technology, etc., I won't be able to give any real examples. But you will see that many of my teachers, including Jean Lemay, he's an engineer, and a couple of other translators I've met, they find they happen to be mathematicians, and you'll find a natural attraction to the Vedas. So, I mean, beyond this, I don't have much to say, but you will find the Sakshi publications and their teachings, in fact, address this particular profile of people, young people in technology who tend to think that the Vedas are about rituals, but whereas it's about improving your daily life, whether you're in technology or whether you're a Purohit, it's the same, you improve your lives and you do a better job with whatever you're doing. So your works, whether you're in technology or whether you are a farmer, you apply the same power of will, you achieve the same delight from work, what we call soma. So there is nothing that you will find as someone from the sciences and technology. You don't find something that you have to believe. It's not a belief system. It's just something, it's a framework through which you can improve your current existence. So back to you.
Yeah, I also normally say that, mantras are like systematized sound technology, where there was a different level of technology altogether, where they understood the power of manifestation of sounds. So if that answers also your question a little bit. Now moving on, we have another one who asks that why is the chanting of Om, why does the chanting of Om have such a great significance?
Actually, this is a question Anuradha ji should be answering. She's really the expert on this. You see, the word Om on its own actually doesn't appear in the Veda Samhitas. It makes its appearance later on, in the more Upanishadic times. But the chanting of Om, if we look at, yogic texts, mainly this, I spoke about the Vedas having this intelligence, having this, it's embedded with this knowledge of this one truth. And basically, this is a connection to what we might even say is Ishvara. So understanding this intelligent world is the vehicle for this understanding is the chanting of Om, basically. So when we start to understand that the world is, we might think of it as very chaotic because of course there is a pandemic on and there's economic crisis and there are floods happening and there are terrorist attacks happening all at the same time, and it seems like what a chaotic world, but actually this world is very intelligently organized. And when we start to see this intelligent, when we start to see the world as intelligently organized, then we start to gain an understanding of how to navigate it intelligently. Om practice helps you develop that understanding in a simple way. I hope that's practically helpful.
Yes. I mean, in the text, there is just so much of emphasis on the simplicity and the power of the Om. So, yes. We have Jane who's asking you that what's the best way for beginners to start the Veda and chanting, learning, while not being overwhelming? Any advice? So before you say, maybe I can also just add that Shantala Sriramaiah ji is the founder of vedastudies.com, and maybe she'll tell you more about that and where you can get help directly from her.
Yes, exactly. So if you're a beginner and you're looking for a gentle start, I have a free course on my website, which is not at all overwhelming. So you can go to vedastudies.com. And in the very beginning, you will see the sign up for a free essentials course. And you can sign up and you can get like a taste of what it is to study the Vedas, including chanting. And you can learn Gayatri Mantra as taught in the tradition. And you can also do 108 times meditation along with, like an accompanying meditative practice on the course. So you don't feel lost at any point. It's not too much. And you get a fairly comprehensive view into it. And then you can see whether it's a practice for you and whether you'd like to do more. So that's what I would suggest is that YouTube videos, we've always learned from YouTube, I think since 2014 or 15, since it started. So it's basically, instead of, being lost on YouTube with no real guidance, you can do the same thing in short courses, with short videos and look at each rule in a very simple way and just get started with the most important mantra.
I think your session was a very good teaser and a trailer. It gave many the taste, I think, to explore this in greater depth with you in particular. So we have another question by Krishna Kumar ji, who's asking that it is said Chandas is a feat of Veda Purusha, but I see a lot of references that Chandas itself is used to refer to the Vedas itself. So are Vedas open to all? There are a few questions. So are Vedas open to all? And what about the so-called adhikaritva? Especially the non-Brahmanas and women were even now not allowed to learn the Vedas. And finally, is the Vedic chanting style so fixed? For example, the Keralian style of Veda chanting is quite different. And there could be many other equally valid styles. So your thoughts on all of these?
Let me address my favorite topic first, which is on the adhikara. So, yeah, this is a very common question because, of course, this is absolutely shocking that there is a woman not only chanting the Vedas, but also teaching the Vedas. And I'm proud to say that none of my gurus hold this opinion. Well, let me put it this way. It's not any opinion they hold. My gurus simply follow the Vedas. And the Vedas, so you purely follow the Vedas, but not some other text projected onto it. So like other Shastra texts, Dharma Shastra texts, particularly, I think we might refer to Manusmritis, etc. And misinterpretations of these Smriti texts, let me add. So it's not just the Smriti text, but some gross misunderstandings of it we project onto the Vedas. Because of these, the rishis, 400 rishis we spoke about, there's at least 25 to 30 of them who are rishikas or women seers, and this itself for us is evidence that there is no such thing as adhikara in the Vedas, and the Vedas themselves clearly, explicitly declare that the knowledge in the Vedas is for all. It's not for Indians, certainly not only for Brahmins, and certainly not restricted to men. Everyone has to have access to the Vedas. And this is my favorite question to answer very clearly. There is no such thing that women should not chant Vedas, because if women should not chant Vedas, the Vedas should tell us that. But the Vedas don't say that. The Vedas, in fact, give us beautiful examples of, Devi Suktam is such a wonderful example of a woman, Rishika, who Vagdevi herself, Vaghamrini was the Rishika who was in complete state of samadhi or complete association with the divine, that she recites this entire mantra in first person. And to inspire our women listeners today, women viewers, I'll recite the first two lines of this mantra. So you can all go off, and please, all women, we need to chant Vedic mantras because women also teach their children and we pass it on. So just the two lines, Anuji, for this question. Om Aham rudrebhirvasubhischaram adityairuta vishvadevaihi Aham mitravaruno bhabibharmyahamindragni Aham ashvino bha Aham somamahanasam bibharmyahantvashta aramutapushanam bhagam Aham dadhamidravinam havishmate supravye yajamanaya sunvate. Both the Rishika and the Devata of this mantra are feminine figures, and the Vedas are full of them. There are also many examples of rishis from other denominations becoming rishis. So they were not born, you didn't have to be a Brahmana, you didn't have to be a Brahmin to become a rishi. You became a rishi from the grace and power of your own tapas, not basis who you were born to. So there were sons of rishis who were not rishis, and there were others who could become rishis. There is a whole presentation I can make on how to become a rishi. Okay, some of the other questions, I think I always get carried away with this. Anuji, can you just remind me?
There was just one on the Vedas being in the Chandas. The Vedas are said to be the feet, and sometimes the Chandas itself refers to the Veda itself. So, how do you say that? And about the different styles. So,
Yes,
about
I will
equally.
cover the two. So indeed, this rhythm, the chandas in the mantras, I would recommend everyone to please watch the previous session. Sri Sampadananda Mishra explains chandas in a way, I mean, I was completely mind blown. It was beautifully explained. So please watch that. You will realize that the chandas plays such an important role in the Vedas with giving it its movement and its rhythmic value, that the Vedas are sometimes referred to as Chandas also. So Chandas is also like a synonym for the Vedas. So that's the short answer, but please watch the previous session for a full detailed exposition on Chandas. And the other thing to do with chanting traditions is that indeed there are many chanting traditions, Vedic chanting traditions in India. So Kerala has one tradition. The tradition I'm reciting is called Mysore Sampradaya. It's from my home state of Karnataka. And so this is mainly following the Taittiriya Pratishakya Yajurveda tradition. And there is also um, the Tamil Nadu tradition, and there is also a Northern Indian tradition. And there are different traditions. You have to receive it from a guru who is competent in that specific tradition. So the oral tradition continues. You have to learn it from someone qualified in that particular tradition. And normally it's quite humanly impossible to learn two separate traditions because the rules are so specific to a particular tradition. I hope that helps. And also some of these traditions are under imminent threat. So including the Mysore Sampradaya is under imminent threat. This oral tradition of chanting is actually declared by UNESCO as a protected tradition. So the more people learn it, and from a competent teacher, the better a job we can do at preserving this beautiful heritage that we have. And it's a world heritage, it's not just for Indians.
I also wanted to share with the audience here that we have several gurukulas today that are trying to keep these traditions alive. So there is a gurukulam near Bangalore known as the Veda Vijnana Gurukulam, of which Dr. Vinay Chandra, who's also the curator, co-curator of this program, is a student from there. And then we have a girls' gurukulam near Mangalore called the Maitreyi Gurukulam. And there we have girls from a very young age who are trained in this tradition of chanting of Veda mantras. Then we have Prabodhini near Sringeri. So we have some of these gurukulas where there is no restriction on the entry of people based on their caste, gender. There is no barrier. Basically, anybody who has an aspiration to learn will be initiated with the Gayatri, and then they take it on from there. But I just wanted a question or follow-up question to that was that where did the Gayatri mantra, where do you find the Gayatri mantra in the Vedas? And a very personal question, how long did it take you to get to this level? So now we can see people, the momentum is building up.
The Gayatri Mantra question is excellent. In which Veda do we find the Gayatri Mantra? There are the Gayatri Mantra you will find. So there are two mantras you will find in all the four books. One is Gayatri Mantra. You'll find it in the Rig Veda. You find it in Yajurveda. There is an ecstatically beautiful version in the Sama Veda and also Atharva Veda. You find it also in Mahanarayana Upanishad. So not just the Samhitas, you'll find it also, it's everywhere basically, the Gayatri Mantra. So it's because it's a mantra for clarity. Imagine that. It's not just an ordinary prayer to the sun, but it's asking for absolute clarity in all decision making, in all actions, in every aspect of my life. I want to have clarity. So please, Savitra, the sun, please grant me this clarity. This is why it's a mantra for initiation to on this journey of discovering the truth which is in me. And to discover this truth which is very much abiding in me, I need to clear all these clouds around me. So I need to have absolute brilliant clarity so I can see the truth. So that's why the Gayatri mantra is there in all the Vedas. And in terms of when I started, so if there are people here from Bangalore, I went to this lovely school, Kendriya Vidyalaya, Malleshwaram, 18th Cross Malleshwaram. And I went to school there. So I studied Sanskrit from the very beginning. But my mother was a teacher of chanting. But back in her day, innocently, she was not initiated into Vedic chanting. So she chanted other things, Bhagavad Gita and Lalita Sahasranama, and she taught all this. She was a great devotee of Devi. And so chanting I've had since I was born. So I was raised in a family of chanting. And my school prayer was Sahana Vavatu and Asatoma. So from the very beginning, I had an exposure to this. But after that, of course, like everybody else in Bangalore, I became an engineer because in Bangalore, we become engineers and then we do life planning and career planning. First, you have to become an engineer. This is sort of like an absolute, basic qualification to get as a Bangalorean. So either a doctor or an engineer. And after that, it's really after 20 years in HR and constantly self-development has been a theme in my life. But when my mother passed away, soon after my son was born, I decided to continue the family tradition. So let's say I've been seriously doing this for about 7 years now. It's very easy to progress very quickly if you apply all the clarity that you get from your Gayatri practice into your sadhana. It's very easy to progress very quickly.
Yeah. Thank you very much again for that personal sharing of the time that is required. But just a follow up, if somebody is starting now, how long would it take, according to you, to arrive at at a decent level? If somebody followed your courses, let's say, how long would it take them to arrive at a state where they're confident or they have a certain degree of confidence with the chanting?
See, I'll give you some very practical time frames. I do like a guided beginners program, like it's basically learning from your home because, of course, now it's not something, you can't go and check into a Gurukulam for, 14 years, which is what it takes to, learn the entire Samhitas of one book. So what we do is for 6 weeks, I take people through a very basic beginner program. It gives them confidence in becoming somebody you can study on your own with the help of guidance. So you need to have a teacher, but you study quite a lot on your own and you check in with the teacher. So about 6 weeks minimum to get to a level where you feel like, oh, I can do this. After that, it's a daily consistent practice, I would say, for anywhere between 18 months to 2 years to get to a level where you can learn a couple of suktams and start to feel confident and comfortable and really enjoy the practice, after which it's a lifetime of learning. But you need to give it 1.5 years, I would say, 1 to 1.5 years of a diligent practice in order to get to a place where you feel like, I know something now, because you need to learn the depth, but you also need a little breadth.
So we have some of your students who are there on this session and they are completely, they're saying, yes, 18 months. Martina says 18 months is an accurate one in her case. And we've got a lot of recommendations for your classes coming in. And just we have a few things. Somebody was asking how important is Sanskrit in this whole process of learning the chanting?
Very important. So it's the basis, so it's not that you have to first learn Sanskrit and then only you can learn Veda chanting. That's not how it works, but you do need to pay attention to the phonetics. So in the beginning, what you do is you're imitating the teacher. This is what we call adhyayanam. Listen, repeat, listen, repeat, listen, repeat. Then you start to become comfortable with the sounds, and then you learn the Sanskrit alphabet, the pronunciation. You need to do at least that much. And then you need to start developing the vocabulary. You need to start learning what does the word prachodayat mean? What does dhimahi mean? Where this word dhi appears so many times, in the Vedas. So what is this dhi? What is the root verb? What does it mean? Let your curiosity drive you, don't become very militant about I have to learn Sanskrit, only then I can learn Vedas. it's not like that. You can learn in a very intuitive way, just like children do. My children are 5 and 7 years old, and they recite the Gayatri mantra and Mahamrityunjaya mantra, and they learned it in a very intuitive way without having to learn Sanskrit first. But I can say from experience that from my student community, after about 1 to 2 years of studying, almost all of them, they pursue Sanskrit studies on their own. I don't teach Sanskrit myself, but I refer them to many teachers because the natural curiosity then drives you to learn it because it feels incomplete without. So this will happen naturally.
And there was a last request from Padmajaji who said, please chant the Gayatri mantra quickly. And another one who said, can you help us give any reference to a chant that helps to reduce stress in our daily lives? So I think the Gayatri mantra would be an answer to many of them. So I also request you to excuse me, the audience, for not being able to take maybe every single question in the paucity of time. I'm sure you'd have avenues to get in touch with Shantala ji herself. So please feel free to do so. This platform that Indica Yoga is offering is precisely to offer authentic, immersive, and transformative learning experiences of yoga traditions. So please feel free to reach out to our different speakers, and I'm sure that within their time frame, within their possibility, they will answer as much as they can. So Shantala ji, with this request to chant the Gayatri mantra, please.
With pleasure. So I will just recite it 3 times. So if those who want to follow along also, you're welcome to join me. Om Bhurbhuvah Suvah Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Suvah Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Suvah Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat.
Thank you very much. That was very beautiful. It's a very nice place to stop here. But before we let you go for tonight and for the morning for those at the other end of the world, I'd just like to inform you that tomorrow we have a session by Eddie Stern, who's an author and an Ashtanga yoga teacher. Eddie is going to be talking on, do the glaciers have a physiological location? So he's a wonderful speaker. Please join the session and enrich yourself with another dimension of the yogic practices. So just before we close, I'd like to inform you further that the morning session is by Eddie Stern on, do the glaciers have a physiological location? In the afternoon, we have a talk by Dr. Priya Vaidya on spiritual wellness, the role of masters. And in the evening, we will have a session by a very senior practitioner, Rodolphe Milia from France. This session will be in French and English, and the topic of his presentation is Pranayama, the happiest way to awaken the Kundalini. And in French, Pranayama, le moyen le plus joyeux d'éveiller la Kundalini. So we look forward to having a lot of the French audience as well. So please do join us for tomorrow. Shantala ji, if you would like to end by giving a message to our audience.
Thank you, Anuji. I just wanted to say that don't think of the Vedas as something not accessible. They're very accessible texts, very relevant, and it makes complete sense to invest in studying and learning at least a few mantras. So just learn a couple of mantras, and if you have to choose only one, just learn the Gayatri mantra. That is more than enough, So just learn a little bit and pass it on to somebody in your family. So thank you.
So, Shantala Sriramaiah ji, thank you very much for that encouragement, that note of encouragement and the seed of hope and positivity that you have sown in our hearts. Thank you very much. Dhanyavada.